The Salvation Army Southern Africa territory has joined the country and the world in mourning the passing of the Archbishop. The church says South Africa has lost a colossus of spirituality, peace and reconciliation. Joining me now is the Salvation Army's Captain Velani Buthelezi. Good morning, Captain Buthelezi. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Now let's start then with your initial feeling and thoughts when you heard of the passing of the Arch.
Good morning. Thank you for an opportunity. As a Salvation Army, we work so closely with the Archbishop. He contributed his life not just to the Anglican Church as his church, but he was able to work throughout. What I mean through his involvement with SACC, South African Council of Churches, which the Salvation Army is a member of. We want to extend our condolences to Mama and his family, and to the Anglican Church of Southern Africa, which he served with great distinction and courage. The Archbishop Emeritus Tutu was, of course, also a world leader, as we all know, of economical movement, especially during the difficult times of 1970s to 80s. As a church, we stood together in the quest to overthrow the apartheid. And as a Salvation Army, his involvement, even in those years, 60s and all that, he was part. He was supporting the Salvation Army, especially during the Regina Mundi, if you remember those days. The Salvation Army is involvement in terms of the work that we were doing in communities in those difficult days. So we just pass our condolences on behalf of the Salvation Army leadership, our territorial commander, Colonel Daniel Basusu, and our Chief Secretary, Colonel Jablani Khoza. They are really sending me to send those words of condolences to the family and to the church family and to the country at large.
Now, what memories then do you perhaps have with the late Archbishop?
As I've already mentioned, our memories as the Salvation Army being really part of the South African Council of Churches, and him as a staunch leader, an outstanding leader. He supported us. You know that as a church we have one message, and there's this mission of love and peace and reconciliation. But what we remember is the work, the role he played as we enter to the new democracy. I know that we are not there yet, as we always say, but he did a lot of work, especially during his time as a leader of truth and reconciliation times, as you know that. So our memory is just based on that, standing out and representing the church and the country throughout love and leading us into the democracy we are at the moment.
Now, you've spoken quite extensively about the work that he has done with the church, and of course this then linking through with the Salvation Army. What legacy, or how are you as the Salvation Army then, are you going to take the Archer's legacy forward?
You see, we still live in the world in South Africa of injustice. There is no peace in some areas. So we, as leaders now, I think we have a challenge to emulate him in terms of really standing strong as a church, making sure that we continue fighting injustice. We continue bringing reconciliation where there's a need. We continue to do and try really our best, emulating leaders like him in terms of bringing peace, if I can say.
And so what message would you give? I mean, we do have some young people who may not know the depth of the Archbishop's work and how he led the country, especially around the time of the TRC. But what message then would you give to the younger generation at this time about the Archbishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu?
The message I can give to our young people now based on the legacy of the Archbishop is a message of love. Love that is beyond. Love that is not here. I think we are living in a space where we speak about corruption. People, they think of themselves alone. I'm talking about the unselfish love. You know what I mean? What it is that I can give to my neighbor. It's not just for my own self-glory. It's not only for me to benefit, but what it is that I can do that can benefit family, that can benefit the community at large. I think Tutu was standing for that. It was not just for him, but it was for the people of South Africa at large.
Now, Captain, of course, we do know that he also did some work internationally, not just for the country. He did some work as well internationally. Can you maybe just take us through some of the things that you remember him to have done for the international community?
I think as we already mentioned, Baba Desmond Tutu was not just known in the world, in South Africa maybe that's all, but Archbishop Tutu was, of course, also a work leader. We know that in the ecumenical movement, especially those years, you know that he was involved with the international National Council of Churches, and he was inviting like international world to help South Africa during the time of apartheid. He was a very good ambassador for South Africa those years. So that's what I can just say to you, especially through the Council of Churches and the World Council of Churches. And now his stature as a leader, he was a leader of influence. So he was able to stand out and really attract an international community to look at South Africa during those years. Even now, his legacy stands.
Captain Velani Buthelezi, thank you so much for your time. He speaks from the Salvation Army, of course, also paying homage to the Archbishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu.